That's the promise, which is detect early, respond and take action, and then prevent the actual bad thing from happening.
It's Jarrett Banks of Tech Edge. Happy to be here at the New York Stock Exchange with my guest, Shikhar Shrestha, the CEO of Ambient.ai. Shikhar, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, when a lot of people think about AI, they think about language models and chatbots, but you guys are actually doing physical security. What can you tell us about that?
So what we do is basically automate physical security operations and make them proactive using AI. The way to think about this is physical security is basically securing buildings and campuses against physical threats, break-ins, thefts, active shooter incidents. And the way you do that today is you install a bunch of cameras. Nobody watches those cameras. You hire a bunch of security guards that are standing all around. Typically, they don't know where bad things are actually happening. You set up lots of alarm systems, and they generate a ton of noise. And so traditional physical security is just very reactive and after the fact. And what we're doing is using artificial intelligence to make it proactive, highly automated. And we call this new approach Agentic physical security.
Okay, let's explore that further. Now, you guys are in some very well-known buildings around this city and around the country. How does the platform assess a threat?
Yeah, so put simply, the AI models are very similar to the kinds of models that we're using or seeing in chatbots, but they're doing the task of analyzing video, images, and then in real time trying to discern if there's a threat that's going on. So what happens is the camera feeds come in, our AI mines it, and it's trying to see if something suspicious is happening at the site. That may be somebody's jumping a fence, they may be trying to tailgate into a building, they may be loitering in a place where they shouldn't, or they may be doing something really serious like brandishing an actual weapon. Our AI detects that, and then it also can assess, just like a human, and say contextually, is this a very severe threat? Is it a medium threat level? Is it sort of a low threat event? And then sort of recommend the appropriate action and response to the operator that they can then take at the click of a button. So it may be, informing law enforcement. It could be dispatching the security guard. It may be locking down the building. So we essentially do that detection, assessment, and response end-to-end using AI, and that's what we think of as agentic security.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, to be clear, Ambient AI is not replacing human security. You're actually helping them do their jobs, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So today, a lot of the time that security operators and guards spend on is on tactical kind of block and tackle stuff. Our mission is to automate a lot of those sort of tactical tasks. So 80% of the security operation becomes automated. And then humans can really spend their time on what they do best, which is more proactive assessment, kind of overseeing the AI itself. And the best model I can sort of describe of this is you have to almost think of like as a human handoff. So the AI can do like the transactional kind of tactical stuff of watching the cameras, doing the investigation, searching the video, looking at the alarms, and then when it needs to, tap into the human for their judgment, it does a handoff, and the guard and operator can then intervene. We also actually think it makes the job of a guard safer. A lot of the times in these incidents, a guard will just respond and run into something really horrible without adequate situational awareness. Like they may be getting a call that there is an active shooter in the building, and the guard just gets dispatched, and it may not be a situation that the guard can handle. Maybe they should just wait for law enforcement to arrive. What happens with AI is they get a video clip of exactly what's happening, they know what the threat level is, and then they're only appropriately tapped into for that response, which we think is a safer way to secure these buildings anyway.
All right, now that makes a lot of sense. Could you give us a real world example of where the system, the platform, was able to stop an incident from happening?
Yeah, so tons of examples. We detect like thousands of events every week that lead to dispatches from guards, and actually a handful every week where law enforcement response happens. A recent example would be at a mass transit customer of ours where an individual was loitering near the train track. They actually started slowly entering the train track itself, and our camera was pointing at that particular scene. It detected that, it saw it as being suspicious, we alerted the security team, and they were able to intervene in real time, and they actually confirmed that that person in that case was trying to end their life, and that intervention actually saved their life. So more of a safety use case, but you can kind of see what happens when you can detect these things happening in real time. Another incident I can share is basically a break-in at a school customer where a person jumped over the fence line, entered the school, was loitering there for a little bit, and we detected it right at the fence line when they jumped and breached the perimeter, led to an immediate dispatch of law enforcement. They arrived on site, arrested the perpetrator. And you never know what could have happened, right? Like they could have ended up breaking in, it could have escalated to something more serious if you don't intervene. So that's the promise, which is detect early, respond and take action, and then prevent the actual bad thing from happening.
All right, those are great examples. How do you think about physical security versus individual privacy? How do you maintain that?
I think individual privacy is very important. It's actually been one of the core values of our company since founding. So in our approach to doing agentic physical security, we don't really care who the individual is. What we care about is what is the person doing in the context of the environment that is suspicious. So, and the context is very important. So if a person has a knife drawn out, but they're in a kitchen, it's possible they're celebrating an employee's birthday or something and cutting the cake, and that's not suspicious. If we see somebody running down the hallway with a knife, it's very suspicious. And so our entire platform is designed to understand what is the individual doing that makes the event or action suspicious. And we use those cues to then say, okay, this is something that needs response or not, instead of trying to identify who they are, which really preserves individual privacy while still giving you that kind of proactive, maximum utility that you can get from prevention and security.
All right, great. Last question. What are you most excited about here for 2026?
It's a very exciting year for us. So 2025 was one of our strongest growth years as a company. We almost doubled our entire revenue base, customer count, lots of marquee deployments, major data centers, public institutions, cultural institutions, as you mentioned, many customers around here in Manhattan as well, and around the world. So I think the biggest thing for us is we think agentic physical security is truly becoming the new standard for how modern organizations will run their physical security operations. And we're seeing the category kind of almost get that tailwind and snowball momentum behind it. So we just think it's going to be another exciting year with lots of tailwind and growth for the company.
All right, great. My thanks to Shikhar Shrestha, the CEO of Ambient.ai. I'm Jarrett Banks, signing off from the New York Stock Exchange.